Yeah. That's what I love about sharing these videos like this, Greg. That you can actually hear what I'm saying in the background, right?
Yes, sir.
I know this is the Lions. We're supposed to be talking Lions today, but I wanted to get this one out there.
Yeah, let's mix it up.
Yeah. Well, there we go. Welcome one, welcome all, ladies and gentlemen. It is the phone sessions, and I am graced and honored right here to be here with the West Coast Stat Master. Greg Rice is up in the house today. How you doing, brother?
Doing great today, Russ. Life is a blessing.
Looking good. And out on the West Coast, man, it's 11 o'clock here. It's got to be like 8 o'clock in the morning out there, right, man? How's the sunrise looking?
Well, I give it about, it's a little misty right now. I give it about another hour and a half before that sun cracks out, but we'll be all right.
Right on. So, some of us here in Flint, Michigan, we're worried. We're into, we know about cracked out. We know how that is.
Well, trust me, in California, we know the cracked out too. It's a global thing now.
So, I mean, here we are in the lull of the offseason, and this is the guys' the honest truth right here. This is something that anybody that would be listening right now, I would consider a hardcore fan.
Definitely.
Because, I mean, I'm pretty sure that all the casual fans checked out. I mean, maybe they were around for the draft, but, a couple of days after that. But what we have here are some people that really are hardcore fans of football. I don't know if you're a fan of football, throw that in the comment, throw a comment in there, what team you follow. I'm hoping that most of you are Detroit Lions fans, since we are broadcasting live into the Detroit Lions news page right now. And we appreciate them for that. And Greg, last night we were on the show. And I wanted to talk to you about this because you are one of what I like to call the more level-headed Lions fans that are out there. And Tom Novan's put this out about the Lions' achievements and the Lions' expectation. Fill me in on how you feel about this picture right here.
I think that picture is very telling. Now, in there is a bunch of variables, if you will, Russ. There are a lot of Lions fans who I've seen personally on social media claiming 12, 13 wins. That is a lot of wins, Russ. 13 wins. I don't think we've ever done
one of those people.
Hey, and I get it. Look, there's a lot of excitement. There's a lot of hype around this team. I've spoken to several people. This is probably the most excited I've personally been about this team since 2014. When we brought in some key additions and we had a top-notch defense and the pieces were just there. So this is the most excited I've been since 2014. That year we won 11 games. I do kind of have those type of expectations. I put our ceiling floor. Mine is very similar. I got us at 10 wins. Either way, I think 10 wins is completely possible, completely feasible. We do have a second place schedule. I think the first quarter of our schedule is a little tough. I'm not going to lie to you, Russ. I would like to finish that out 2-2. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, the first quarter of the set. I mean, we're talking about the Kansas City Chiefs. Like, we are going to Arrowhead for the first game of the season in front of an entire national audience where there is no other football. So we are going to have some eyeballs on this team. And let's go into that game. How do you think that we're going to fare in the first game? Do you think we got a shot?
I think we have a shot. I really do. It's a Super Bowl hangover team where they're hanging banners, and it's first game into the season. Andy Reid, one of the most cool, calm, collective coaches. I know he has respect for our franchise, and he's not taking this game lightly. We are playing in Arrowhead, like you said, Russ. So I do give the Chiefs the advantage. Even if we were playing in Ford Field, I give them the advantage simply based on Patrick Mahomes. Look, I have brought this up to Lions fans several times on social media who I've seen kind of errantly, kind of just running down the Chiefs. This is a team, Russ, that you could play immaculate football against. Generate a couple turnovers that lead into scores. You don't have to give up many yards. And Patrick Mahomes is just that once-in-a-generation talent that regardless, and I'm talking, you could play a game of pure perfection, and just like he did against the Eagles last year, he could still beat you.
Yeah.
And with Andy Reid's game plan, Steve Spagnuolo, who I don't think gets enough credit for his break but don't bend defense that does generate a lot of turnovers on its own. This is a big time opponent. Obviously, they won the Super Bowl last year.
Right. Yeah. Let me. Yeah. With Patrick Mahomes, dealing with Patrick Mahomes. Oh yeah, I have Josh Allen's on line one. So, of course, it's the Lions. Jim says we need Goff to stay healthy this year, and you're 100% right there. Glad our OC stayed. That's nice. That's a nice comment. I mean, really, Ben Johnson is huge. And I mean, the fact that he stayed when he could have went, he probably could have had that Carolina job.
Oh, for sure.
And the fact that he's still here and he wants to do something special. I love the fact that we drafted a quarterback, and I think that's significant. The fact that Ben Johnson is going to be a head coach in this league. It's just a matter of when that's going to happen. But I mean, for the time being, we draft Hendon Hooker. I think that those two things are probably going to be things that are going to happen at the same time. Like when we move on to Hendon Hooker, why not that be the time when you bring in the new OC? Because he's not going to run the offense. I don't think that that's what the future plans are, or if he is even the future plans. How do you feel about Hendon Hooker?
I love the Hendon Hooker pick. I want to give a shout out to David Pike and his show. Hendon Hooker plays not a pro style offense. They play a spread offense, which is kind of gimmicky, something that you see in NFL games when a team is down 3 possessions and the other team goes into a prevent defense. Hendon Hooker's got a little bit of a learning curve. Other than that, the skill set is there. The man can get the ball anywhere. He's mobile. He could essentially do everything and anything you want to ask in a quarterback. But let's be real here, fans. This is a developmental pick. This guy's going to need a year, at least 2, to kind of get under his feet, get ready for this pro style offense. But I love the pick. And you're right, about the time where we're starting to look towards Hendon Hooker, I'll go as far as saying this, Russ. I absolutely believe that if, and I mean if, as a lifelong Lions fan, if the Lions fan win the division title next year, and if the Lions win a playoff game next year, by this time next year, Ben Johnson will be a head coach somewhere else. And that's something I'm completely okay with. Look, the man's deserving of it. One of the most impressive things about Ben Johnson last season was the fact that after that Patriots game, it seems like his offense was figured out for just a minute. Granted, we were injured at wide receiver and stuff, but we were struggling putting points on the board for a couple games there. But this is what your good offensive coordinators and good coaches per se do. They adjust. They find ways to get back the momentum, to put points, and he absolutely passed that with flying colors. And you saw it, man, with just our win total and just how much our offense was flowing last year. Minus the Jets game, but that was a stubborn defense. So,
Yeah. Well, Bill, the Packer fan, says, don't forget to throw in how you beat the Packers at home last season. No, actually, I wasn't going to mention that, but I'm glad that you brought that up. It brings a nice little warm feeling in my stomach, remembering the fact that we beat the Packers not once, but twice in 1 year, and that's fun. Brian says that we hope it's a long time before Ben Johnson is leaving. He really does like it here. I'm going to be honest with you, Brian. I mean, this is the NFL, and there's only 32 head coaching jobs, and if you have a chance to be one of the 32 teams or 32 guys that has a chance to get those jobs, I mean, you can like it here all you want, but I'm sure that he wants to go run his own coach his own franchise. Bill, the Packer fan, I love that you're watching our show, Bill. I know we are streaming it live onto your page, so I guess that's probably a good reason.
Yeah.
You beat up. No, the Goofence. I'm dead. The Goff is a bum too. Well, it is the Goffense, and they wrote the offense together. Him and Ben Johnson went into a room together, kind of like the Aaron Rodgers dark room, where they all, they became one with their emotions, and they became one with the chi that was inside of them, and they came up with the Goffense, which was a top 3 or top 5, if you want to be really, really technical about it, offense in the Goffense in the NFL. So I think that he can run the Goffense after a year or two. I mean, that's fine. it's a whole offense that's based off of space, and they have the right players in order to execute that type of offense. And Jared is in a place that he can do something. You know, he is in his position of strength. He's not a playmaker. He's a distributor. And what do they get? They got a whole plethora of people that are around him that the minute that they get the ball, they can make something happen with it after the catch. So I just kind of rambled on right there. I don't even have a question. What do you think that he can run the offense after Ben Johnson?
Who are we speaking of?
I think he can run
any position coach being upgraded or anything.
He may be. Let's just say that he's referring to Hendon Hooker. Do you think that he can run the offense in the same type of form that?
I mean, sure, but I mean, like I said, Russ, I think that'd be limiting his skill set. You know, Hendon Hooker's got some mobility to him. He's got a bigger arm, and he's not very turnover prone. So he takes a lot of Goff's good qualities and then brings on other options with a better skill set eventually. Like I said, though, this isn't going to be something, you guys, that as soon as Hendon Hooker's healed up, he's getting thrown in the games. He's got a big learning curve, man. That spread offense is something, like I said, you rarely see in the NFL unless you're down by 3 possessions going up against a prevent defense. He's going to have to learn more of an NFL pro-ready offensive style as compared to what they were running down in Tennessee.
And that's fair. And that really, that comment that you're alluding to kind of really goes towards that person that just thinks that Hendon Hooker could come in day one and challenge for this job. And that is true. But his skill set is transferable. So he does have to learn how to, the speed of the NFL. But I think that sitting 1 year behind a really, really good quarterback like Goff, I see no reason that he wouldn't be ready to go in 2024. And they do have Goff under contract until 2025. So I see that too. I also see him just being the backup too. If Goff wins a Super Bowl, what do you, you gonna get rid of him? I mean, if he wins even if he wins a playoff game, I mean, because Bill, the Packer fan, would tell me that we gotta crawl before we walk. And that is true. But I thought we did go from a crawl to a walk. I think that we're walking now, Bill. But Hendon Hooker, I'm not 100% sold that he's the future right now. I mean, I think it was a great value pick for where everybody was, and I think it looks great. He's better than Nate Sudfeld, so I'm good with that. But I'm not going to get too uber excited over that. Quite yet.
And I like that. And this is the thing, Lions fans, is something that we've not really been able to do because pressure's always on to at least perform decently. I think we're past that expectation. My thing is, Lions fans, is like, look, I can't tell you how to be a fan, but just be patient. Don't push for this kid when Goff has a bad game. Look, I watch a lot of NFL games outside of Lions games, and I'll tell you this right now, even your elite quarterbacks, which I look at, there's 2 in the league, possibly a third involving Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow. Look, these guys have 4 to 5 bad games a year. I mean, multiple turnover type games. They're just off. Bad games happen, whether you're elite or a bridge quarterback. And I think Goff is somewhere in between both those things. I think Goff's a good quarterback, a top 10-ish quarterback, certainly resurrected his career last year, proved a lot of naysayers. I look at Jared Goff as a pro comp to Alex Smith. And I know there's not probably a lot of Alex Smith fans in there, especially if you think of his early years, but Alex Smith became one of the most efficient quarterbacks in the league. And I think we have that in Jared Goff.
Right.
So don't get caught up in this mantra, this pounding of the desk. You guys, there are a lot of Goff haters out there. Just coming from the quarterback we came from, Jared Goff is the polar opposite. He's someone who takes care of the ball, not necessarily big arm or when the chips are down and we need a comeback type guy, but the guy's efficient and can get it done.
And this is a funny thing about Goff, and I'm going to put Goff in a category, and we did this last night, and I feel like I can kind of regurgitate some of the stuff because you weren't on there last night, but Goff and Kirk Cousins being very similar to the point where that I think that both of them are very good quarterbacks and that they're both very underappreciated for their style of play, because both of them to me are more of distributors, right? They want to get the ball into the hands of playmakers, where everybody seems to just gravitate towards this. I need a playmaker. I need a guy that's going to make, 2 or 3 plays happen that, broke down. But the problem with it is that when everything breaks down, sometimes everything doesn't break down. You just need a guy that is going to be that's just going to manage the game and not do stupid things. And that's really what Goff and Cousins are. And here's the thing is, if you don't protect these guys, they're going to look stupid. They're going to short arm throws. They're going to look like they need a lot of things right in order for them to be successful. Whereas somebody like Mahomes, I mean, the world could fall on him. He'd move out of the way of the world, do a sidestep and throw it out of his back, and he'd still throw a touchdown pass somehow. Where, that's not Goff. That's not what you're getting right there.
Exactly, Russ. And you're touching on something. Look, I really see it as there's only 2, like I said, maybe 3 quarterbacks in Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, and somewhat Jalen Hurts, where the sky could be falling, yet they could still make something happen, man. Goff falls in my opinion, just based on last year, and that second tier of good quarterbacks that I like. These are guys that can make things happen. They might need a little more help than your Mahomes or Burrow. But these guys can make things happen as long as you have them some pieces in place. This isn't to say Goff is going to be flawless this year or anything. We do have some tough opponents ahead. But like I said, you guys, we just got to waver the storm. We're certainly not going to be going 17-0. And I know that there is a society.
Are you sure?
I bet money on that.
No,
even worse. Look, I know there's a society of secret Goff haters out there that just can't wait to see, and they're Lions fans. And I'm like, how can you root for this guy to lose? Like he did so well last year, played so well for us, and something we've never seen with Lions quarterbacks ever is he takes care of the ball. And that is such a key thing, you guys. And when you watch winning teams, winning franchises, one of the biggest things you will see is, even against good defenses, sometimes you got to dink and dunk just not to turn the ball over to give yourself a chance.
And when you look at Jared Goff, and this is something that's really funny, if there's anybody from the NFC North that isn't a Lions fan that's listening, is how you talk out of both sides of your mouth when you're going to tell me that Jared Goff isn't going to be good because he hasn't done anything, but yet we're in a division that has Jordan Love, who's never done anything, and then Justin Fields, who's never done anything, and the only quarterback that has done something you guys make fun of because he's Jared Goof, and he's the most consistent by far in that. Well, I don't want to say that because we got to see what Cousins is going to do if there is no running game threat. Like I was trying to get to this last night with Jamez, and he seems to just think that if Dalvin Cook walks out the door, then Alexander Madison's picking it right up and being that guy. But I didn't want to go there right now. Oh, we got Smoke and Jeremy B in here. What I wanted to do before we get going right here, and let me get I'm going to present something here. Hold on 1 second here. Let me stop this.
Good morning,
this in
gentlemen.
here. What is up, Jeremy B? Smoking Jeremy B, biting some kneecaps. We're going to discuss something that we can all agree on. Everybody from the fan base can agree on that this right here is one of the greatest running backs of all time, if not the greatest running back of all time. It depends on who you talk to. And I wanted to hear both of your uninterrupted reactions to this. And I'll start with you, Smoking Jeremy B, since you just got here.
Jim Brown, what can you say? In 9 years, he tore up the league. He never averaged less than 100 yards. He averaged almost he had a great yards per carry average as well. One of the best in the league to ever play, and he left before he was broken. Just like Barry did. You can say what you want about the two of them. They are the two greatest. It's 1A, 1B, in my opinion.
Well, especially when it comes to the fact that he just passed here, and we're talking about a guy that he was the perfect combination of size and speed. He was Bo Jackson before Bo Jackson, where like he would see somebody coming to try to tackle him, and you're not running out of bounds. He's going to run towards that safety guy, and he's going to go after him, running with the football. They said he was one of the most vicious runners.
First true power back.
Or he could run away from you. I'll let Greg Rice. Greg Rice, chime in on one of the greatest of all time.
I mean, I'll just say it like this. Jim Brown still to this day, and I love this comment someone put in on one of our social media posts the other day when I put this. Jim Brown is still the gold standard in which all running backs are compared to. Statistically, running style, as you just alluded to, Russell, this is the type of guy that if he broke past your front seven, and he'd still take on linebackers. But if you got a safety or corner, good luck. It's just not going to happen. Yeah, you're not going to bring this guy down. This guy is the gold standard. And I know that being NFC North fans will always say that the standard is Walter Payton or Barry Sanders. But I think it's kind of sad that we leave out Jim Brown, as this guy made the running back position what it is today. And, hats off to that guy. Mike did a whole great tribute on him. Just his activism, his acting, like Jeremy alluded to, he got out before he was broken. And you got to respect that. I think he was one of the first to do that, and so something you see training in the NFL today. These guys getting out before they have any CTE issues or their body's just completely broken down and they're dependent upon prescription pills and everything. So hats off to Jim Brown. I can't say enough about this guy. Like when you think of NFL history, there are players that pop up in your head. Bart Starr, Roger Staubach, Jim Brown. These are the players that kind of set the legacy for what there's expected of positions, So I was truly sad to see him lost. I think this was something that was big in the NFL community. I'm involved in a lot of Facebook chats, and the NFL community as a total and whole kind of was very respectful of Jim Brown, and he deserves it. Everything he got coming to him.
Amen. Absolutely. That was fantastic. That was fantastic right there. And a full tribute. I can't say enough about Jim Brown. Rest in peace. One of the greatest running backs of all time.
And a great and humble human being as well.
Yes.
Right.
Great point, Jeremy.
I mean, that is why he left. He had a chance to be in a movie, and he goes, What would you rather do? Run and get smashed by a 250-pound guy or smash Raquel Welch?
John Kepler. There you go. Size, speed, power. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Am I not wrong there? What would you rather do? Raquel Welch back then or get hit by linebackers?
I agree with you, Jeremy.
It was definitely a different style of game.
Mm-hmm.
Back then,
it was. He
was a man amongst boys. Like, here's the thing: is like he transcended the position. He transcended football. Football is in a very different place. It is like the athletes that they're getting now. It's like Jim Brown was a man amongst boys, where you don't see that as much now because the sport has been transcended over and over again, and it's became what it is. Now you got these super athletes, these guys that are going to the combine, like all 255 of them or whatever. All of these kids are super athletes nowadays.
Yeah. Look at it. We've got linebackers and defensive linemen running 4.3 and 4.4 40s now.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think that back in the day, they used to have like the games. It's like, hey, I gotta go do my shift up at the factory, and then I'm gonna come and play the game later on tonight with you guys. And it's like, it ain't that now, right?
Yeah.
And all right, I want to bring up something else. I just kind of wanted to bring up these screens of some of the stuff that we had brought up last night, and to give the audience a chance. These were just some of the things that we had brought up right there. So these were the top 5 by Bucky Brooks, right? And they had the Lions as the top offensive line unit in the NFL. Is this a misprint?
No, it's not. We were number 2 last year, despite only having 4 of our starters in there most of every game. We've been as high as 7th the year before with only 3 of our starters in the offensive line. If our starters are playing, we have the best offensive line in football right now, hands down. It's not a joke. That's PFF,
Right.
that's NFL, that's ESPN. They've all said it. And that is why when you ask about the David Montgomery signing and how he didn't do good in Chicago, how do you expect him to be good here? This is why. He ran behind the 30th to 32nd O-line his entire career.
Yeah. Agreed, Jeremy.
And when you look at it, when Dan Campbell got up on that podium, the first press conference said, on the way up, I'm going to bite a kneecap off. This is what he was talking about. It's not just a catchphrase. I mean, that's fun. I guess it is kind of a catchphrase, but what it is, it's a mentality here. We're going to be big up front, and you ain't going to be winning fights against us. How do you feel about that, Greg Rice?
You know, when it comes to all the players that we signed, like all these guys that Brad Holmes, and this is, let's be real here, this is the first, in my opinion, the first free agency period where Brad Holmes had a little bit of breathing space, you know, and he went out there and he got those blue collar guys, those guys with not just a chip on their shoulder now anymore, or guys trying to prove it, but guys with some pedigree, guys with some credentials, guys who came from winning franchises and want to bring that and instill that here in Detroit, and I couldn't be happier. I love the Sutton pickup. I love the Mosley pickup. Both these guys come from winning franchises where expectations are high, and these guys, I can guarantee you, they didn't just want to sign anywhere just to sign somewhere. They want to go to a place where they feel they can win, coming from the franchises they came from. You know, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, coming from a Super Bowl team. That guy has that it factor. I've said it since last year when the Eagles first signed him. He is the Patrick Beverly of the NFL. This guy talks a lot of smack, but man, he can back it up. Defense is his thing, man. He likes to get in the mix. Great in coverage, great in the box, can kind of do it all. The versatile, plays nickel, can play that center field and safety. I think when you think of kneecap biting people and you look at everyone's sign, everyone fits that bill. Even David Montgomery is a little bowling ball. Right. I mean, the man's hard to bring down. Even in tight spots where the running lanes aren't big, he just seems to get little, and he's very fluid in those little spots. And so I think that we're really going to be excited to see some Lions football this year, you guys. I can't say enough. This is the happiest I've been since 2014.
I mean, how can you not say we're going to be excited about football? Because we're in May.
Yeah.
We're in May, and we're talking about football right here. We got Brian Torrey right there. I can't even read that. Can you read that, Jeremy B?
Losing Barry and Megatron comes from poor management and coaching at the time. Different regime here. Well, Holmes and Campbell is building this franchise to compete for the future, not just now.
True.
Why
don't you go ahead and respond to that, Jeremy? That's a great comment.
Well, look at what we've done so far. He took a team that was in shambles talent-wise, stripped it to the studs, and filled it with guys that just wanted to play to prove they could play.
Yep.
Right.
Granted, it didn't go well the first year. We had a horrible offensive coordinator to start.
Yep.
There was a million reasons that season started out so poorly. But as soon as he was gone, those last 6 games that Goff started, he played at a top 10 QB level.
He did.
And that was with the offensive coordinator he had last season. What did he do last year? Played at a top 10 level. I'm not saying he's the best in the league. I'm not saying he's better than Aaron Rodgers, but he's better than Aaron Rodgers was last season.
Yeah, agreed.
Right? There's a difference there. I mean, I'm not going to put him in the top 10 all time. I have him probably like 60th or 70th all time. I'm being as real as I can about Goff. Goff last year, statistically, if you look at what he did, if we'd have had a better defense the first 7 games, we'd have been sitting as pretty as the LA Rams were in 2018.
Yep. Good point, Jeremy.
If we would have had any semblance of any type of competence in the secondary, we would have won 13 games. I mean, there were so many of them that it came down to that one thing. I mean, you didn't even give a punt up in the Seattle game. We would have won that game with below average secondary play.
The stupidest time clock management thing that ever happened won that game for Seattle.
Right.
It wasn't the pick 6. It was when they called back a stop. Was going to give us the ball. Wait, they were giving us the ball, And then they went back, they reviewed something and said, oh, there was a time clock malfunction. They have to rerun the play.
Okay.
It
I
wasn't
remember
even a
that, Jeremy.
penalty.
I
was
remember
at
that.
that game.
Yeah,
That's what gave the game away, because the next play they scored a touchdown.
Yeah, I remember that, Jeremy. That was very controversial. That was one of those. It feels like every year we got one of those Lion moments.
So even if we're going to lend into the conspiracy theory, which I really don't want to do, I would say that our defense still gave up 48 points in that. And the point to that being that we have drastically improved this secondary.
Our defense gave up 41 points. We won that game if it wasn't for that controversial call.
Okay, I mean, still, the defense gave up 41 points, even with the controversial call. That is awful.
We scored 45. That's how good our offense was, is my point.
And guess what? Brad Holmes agrees with me, too, because we completely revamped the entire secondary.
We needed to.
We needed to. So, I mean, granted, I don't agree that Okuda's a bust still, because he's only played a season and a half of games. He has not been developed properly. And he's going to a team that runs predominantly man. Him opposite AJ Terrell playing as the 2, I bet you he's going to ball out, and we're going to regret getting rid of him.
Yeah, I love that. I love that trade for both people. He wasn't going to be the end all be all here for us, and everybody knew that. So, I mean, you bring in Cameron Sutton, who's a natural born leader that's very smart from football knowledge type of thing. And Emmanuel Mosley, who, I mean, he was showing elite traits. He was projected to get $16 million a year. And then you put Chauncey Gardner, who has Super Bowl experience. This is a very different secondary. And then you put Brian Branch marinating behind that. I mean,
I like it.
This was already a really, really good young pass rushing unit. Shoot, you give them an extra 2 seconds to rush the passer. What? I think that this has the makings of maybe even a special type of defense. So I wanted to hit this comment right here, Brian. That Goff is proven. He's no slouch. He did have weapons in LA, but that's the thing. His style lends to something where he has to have the playmakers. If he gets the ball out of his hand fast, then he's like a Fonzie in there. He's cool. He's cool when he's got the playmakers and the protection. We the best. Oh yeah.
Talking about O-line. That's when he commented that.
Yeah, that's John Kapler right there. Detroit Lions Talk, man. The link's in there. You can pop on here if you want to. We don't discriminate here with anybody. Brian says Montgomery and Gibbs will be great running behind his O-line. Speed and power is there. Opportunity. What do you think about that opportunity to run behind one of the best O-lines as a Jahmyr Gibbs or David Montgomery, Greg Rice?
I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. I'll share like all of us did. I don't know if I made a mistake. I was a bit shocked when we took him at 12. That being said, you go back, you look at this kid's film, man. This kid's got explosive playmaker written all over him. For some of the naysayers saying, oh, he's just a Swift replacement. Well, I'm okay with that. We were supposed to get something explosive with Swift. And you know what? Swift was very good when he was healthy and on the field. We all know the issue that was an ongoing issue, that he couldn't stay healthy, lived on that injury report. A lot of us were biting our nails, not our kneecaps, hoping that he was coming off that injury report every Friday, you know? And so with Jahmyr Gibbs, I think we get someone with actually a little bit higher of a ceiling. This is a guy you could absolutely put in the slot. Swift was somewhat of a gadget guy, but I think we get a true gadget guy in Jahmyr Gibbs. And the speed factor is definitely an X factor. And between him and David Montgomery, who I do think is an upgrade over Jamal Williams. This isn't to knock Swaggy. I love Swaggy. Was happy to have him here last year. He was our charismatic locker room, our voice and stuff. But I think we get a little bit better of a player with David Montgomery, who, like Jeremy was alluding to, has played behind a Division II O-line most of his career. You put him behind this Detroit Lions O-line, and I think you're going to see a little bit better progress.
Amen.
All right, there you go. How about you, Jeremy V? How are you feeling about, you got Montgomery and Gibbs like this? I mean, it's like thunder and lightning.
I said it last year when we signed Justin Jackson that I would really like us to run that full house format. We can do it with what we got now.
Yeah.
Because James Mitchell is a halfback, fullback / tight end that could be another receiving threat on one side, Gibbs on the other side, and
So is
Montgomery right
Laporta.
behind the quarterback. But Laporta is a receiving threat mostly. You know what I'm saying? And we got a guy that we just signed in the UDFA who's the size of Jim Brown, but only as fast as Jack Campbell and Haytoe Thompson, who's played quarterback, halfback, fullback, tight end, and wide receiver.
I like it.
Love it. That's awesome, man. I dig that. And when we're talking about, I mean, I thought you were going to say Ibrahim.
No, I'm talking. Haytoe Thompson is a very undervalued signing that nobody's talking about. This guy is one of those guys that will be on that practice squad, ready to come in when somebody gets hurt, no matter the position. That's what I'm getting at. I say he's making at least the practice squad, if not the 53-man roster.
I like it, Jeremy.
I like that. Sleeper, you got any sleepers? You got any sleepers that you've been looking at from that, maybe UDFAs or that, that might crack this roster?
I'm going to be honest with you. I see a lot of our UDFAs potentially pushing guys that were on our practice squad last year. And, I like that system because Brad Holmes is all about keeping talent in hold. And when it's their time to shine, they did. Look at James Houston last year. I mean, it goes on and on. I mean, the UDFAs he's brought in here, Brock Wright, like we always seem to find contributors that come in, and when their number's called, they come in. And while they might not give you all Pro Bowl production, they'll come in and it feels like you don't miss much of a beat. You look at that on our depth chart last year with people like Leaf Raymond, people that aren't really heard of, but when their number's called in a game that we need them, like the Packers game, Leaf Raymond last year, things get done. The Jets game last year, and that's something that we've lacked in Detroit. It always feels like that when we lost a starter, that our production fall off it'd be detrimental to any chance of winning the game. And Brad Holmes is building depth here, and the way that Dan Campbell has a system look, I don't care where you're drafted, when you're drafted, you're competing for your spot. I love that. I think too many times, especially with the Patricia era, we had too many people who were given big contracts and were just granted starting spots, all of Jamie Collins.
One of the things I love about Brad Holmes, hold on a second.
Mm-hmm.
All right. One of the things I love about Brad Holmes is the fact that it seems like he's on the cutting edge of every single little piece of being a general manager. Like UDFAs, okay, well, I have this team of people that do we do this science thing and blah blah blah, however they come up with their guys, and they seem to be able to find talent with every little piece that it takes to be a general manager. And man, now that we have a little bit more significant of a roster, the point I was trying to make is when he took this team over, we were $60 million behind the cap or some crazy number like that. And this team had to be filled with a lot of guys that were just UDFAs because we needed guys that would play for $1.50. And now that this roster is a little bit more thick, it's going to be a really a hard roster to make this year. And I don't know how many of these UDFAs actually have a shot to make the roster, but if they do, man, that's another diamond in a rough. Another diamond in a rough that Brad Holmes would have found right there.
And I've reached out this morning to my favorite running back in Lions history, the guy hanging on that jersey behind me, Billy Sims.
Mr. Sim.
Because he's actually starting to sponsor a few podcasts. He's starting to do interviews talking about life after football. And of course, I got my interview show coming up starting this Friday and also on Sunday. Sunday, it's supposed to be a former Lions player. I don't know who it is because it was set up by the guy that ran the channel. I will be giving the guys 2 days before the show so I can research and do some background. But it's not just football players I'll be talking to. It's guys of every sport.
Nice, Jeremy.
That is nice. We have a brand new guest on here.
How you doing, buddy?
What's going on, guys? What's going on?
Stop playing with us. So we were just talking about when it really came to we just got ranked as the best offensive line according to Bucky Brooks. Let me bring this thing up here.
Number one, baby.
Number one, baby. I want to bring this screen back up just because. Oh, I had the wrong one up. I'll have to go backwards. Hold on 1 second. We'll go back right there. Top 5. I mean, now
I got that screenshotted. I really do. I went back, turned my phone sideways, so I got to have that whole thing on there. Screenshotted that because that is awesome. And in a couple of years, you know what? There's other positions to where we can be top 5 in those other categories.
Agreed.
Secondary would probably be the next closest one.
Wow. Agreed. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you
wide
what,
receiver.
That is a fierce Dolphins secondary right there. Bringing in Jalen. Right. That's actually scary to know they be.
Imagine the Lions being 2 of those spots in the top 5.
Right.
Each of those categories. Holy crap.
We have the chance to be 3. It depends on what people develop into.
Exactly.
I didn't want to be too bold there, but don't hear me.
Okay.
Hey, good for you. Good for you. I love it.
Okay, John, this is what I wanted to ask because this is what we had asked everybody else. So now we have this top offensive line. Let's assume that at the very least it's a top 5 offensive line. Now you have Jahmyr Gibbs. Now you have David Montgomery running behind that offensive line. What are your expectations for the Lions running game this year?
God, like on first of all, short yardage gains should be turned back into first downs. You're on, 2nd and 2, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, hell, even 3rd and 4. You should be getting first downs.
Yeah.
David Montgomery came from the Bears, who had heard many times from many other YouTubers. I'll just put this out there. That was my own research. This is just me hearing it. From a Bears line that was one of the worst, like 28th in the league, I think, maybe 30th in the league. Yeah. He did what he did over the last couple of years with that. What is he going to do with this team? Yeah. I could start to think, but my brain might explode what he's going to do with us. And you have the rookie from Alabama coming into it, who's not just a running back, but as our coach and GM has said, he's an all-out weapon all over. Yeah. He will line out as a wide receiver, as a running back in a run and shoot offense.
Yeah. I agree 100% because the NFL is built on opportunity, and what you're going to have with David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs is they're going to have opportunities to get their first point of contact 2 or 3 yards down into their territory rather than 3 yards in the backfield where Montgomery was trying to break his first tackles when he was in Chicago.
Here's the thing. I want to talk about one thing that everybody's forgetting about. Why did we go for it on 4th and 4 and 4th and 5 so often? Does anybody know the real statistic about it? Because our O-line gives 4.8 yards of clearance before a guy gets touched.
Right.
Yeah. There you go.
You know what Dan Campbell says? Dan Campbell says there is no 4th down. That 4th down is just an extension of 3rd down. We got one more shot at this, guys. We can get in there and we can do it.
So statistically,
if we were going for it when we weren't good, why wouldn't we go for it when we're great?
Exactly.
We were going for it when we weren't a good team.
Yeah. We were going for it
and we were making it
because we knew our defense couldn't stop anybody with a wet paper blanket.
Yeah.
And so now you can go for it knowing that you're better. You have more confidence in knowing that 4.8 yards before you're even touched that with the O-line plus the extra players that you have. That's just more confidence to add to be more dangerous.
Dan Campbell is proving that he is nothing but a psycho. He's a psycho, and you have no idea what Dan Campbell is going to do next.
You're only partially right on that. He's a psychotic genius.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. I was looking for the word psychotic genius. There you go.
Yeah.
Every psycho is a genius in their own right, and that's the thing is I remember last year, I will never forget it. Like when they were on their own 20-yard line and I looked over at Mike, we're watching the game in front of, with a whole bunch of guys, probably 20 people at the Lions Den. We're all watching and I look at Mike and I'm like, yeah, you think Dan will go for it? And we laughed about it. You're going to go for it. And then we look up at the screen and there's CJ Moore running out of the backfield, going to get a first down. And I'm like, this dude just went for it on his own 20-yard line.
But it's not going to be a laughing matter now. It's not going to be a joke. It's going to be, oh, shit, for the other team. They're actually going for it, and we're fucked.
No, you have to, that because he's a psycho, you have to account for the fact that he might go for it on his own 20, which means that you have to put your brain power into trying to stop that, which means that you might get caught off guard in some other way. Like Dan Campbell's in your head.
Sewell catching the ball.
Yeah, Penei Sewell. Like
tight end number 4
is in your head.
I like
NFC North. Dan Campbell is in your head, NFC North. You need to prove to me why any one of you teams, for a football reason, not 1957, not anything that Aaron Rodgers did anything. You need to prove to me why you're going to beat the Lions. We were 5-1. We ain't got to prove shit.
True.
I mean, think about it this way. This is the first time we've had a Lions coach in 2 years have a winning record of any type versus the division. 2-2 versus the Bears.
This is crazy.
2-2 versus the Vikings, and 3-1 versus who? The Packers.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
And somehow they think
music to my ears.
that they are going to be better by losing a Hall of Fame quarterback. There is some kind of thing out there where they think that Jordan Love will be better than Aaron Rodgers. That's crazy to me. The guy who stole.
That's because they're drinking the green milk. We drink the blue Kool-Aid. They drink the green milk.
Breaking news, though.
None of that green milk.
What happened, Jeremy?
Yes, 2024, the Lions host the draft. 2025, Green Bay does.
True.
Oh, shit.
It's very true. I'm glad to see that, too. I am. It's probably.
You know why they'll.
And they might be picking number 1.
They expected us to be picking in the top 10 again, and now they know we won't.
Yeah.
That's why they chose the Packers this year, because they'll have a top 5 pick.
Okay.
Nice.
And that's their own
Nothing wrong with that.
they traded for.
Yeah.
Are they going to get that Caleb Williams sweepstake?
Drake May. One of those two is going to be in the top 5.
Yeah.
I mean, there's another guy, Langdon. I can't think of his name. He's more of an athletic quarterback. Drake Williams is not as much athletic as Jake May is not as athletic as Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams is the quarterback who can run. He's closer to like Randall Cunningham and Lamar Jackson.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where he's a quarterback first that has athleticism. Yeah. And I like that. I think that's a proper analogy for what I've seen of Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
Whereas Drake May, he has a little bit of athleticism, but he's more of a pocket passer. He only moves if he has to.
Oh, he's Jared Goff. Dang. Okay, we don't want that. We don't want that. Oh,
we don't. Wait. I don't know why fans are complaining about a quarterback who had a 4-to-1 touchdown ratio and cut his fumbles in half.
Yep. Exactly, Jeremy.
All right, so David Montgomery runs hard. He will be dangerous. That's a fact, Jeremy. Plus, our defense sucked.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to get through these right here. We didn't a ton of them. If the Lions start the season 2-0 against formidable offenses, it's a wrap. Hey, that is a crazy thought. If this team starts out 2-0, they'll be favored in every game for the rest of the season. Like,
yeah.
I mean, they beat the Chiefs.
It is a big if. We're talking about
that's a huge if.
But at the same time, you guys say it's a big if. It's not as big a if as you want. Because the line already moved from when the schedule was released from a 7-point favorite for the Chiefs to 6.5. It moved a half and a point just from the draft.
Nice. I like that.
So if you think about this, that means they already see that the Lions have improved on offense. They improved on defense, and they're moving the line prior to betting being done because nobody's betting on that game in May.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So, now I'm going to have to go take $10 and I'm going to have to bet on it.
I'm going to be honest with you guys.
Them odds are, man.
I can't even remember the last time our Detroit Lions have opened an NFL season. If someone wants to check that, I don't remember.
Pretty positive.
How many times did he get sacked in that first game versus the Eagles? Wasn't it only 3 times? Was it 3? Oh. And he was pressured like maybe 8 because he's talking about that.
Yeah.
So our rookie class is good for 5 points per game.
0.5 points per game.
That's not how it works. But that's not how it
No,
works. Jeremy brought up a good point. The fact that we got it to move half a point just based on our draft class is actually amazing. That's rare. So yeah,
that's without anything being played. That's without seeing a preseason game. That's without.
Yep.
That's taken into effect. Your coaching,
right?
The players added, the UDFAs, everything without anything being bet yet. It moved the line, which is huge. And also, you have to take into effect that every year, the first 6 weeks, Kansas City's defense is abysmal. They average giving up almost as much as Detroit did last year for the 6 games.
Wow.
They were ranked 27th last year after 6 games and then turned it around to be a top 10 defense by the end of the year.
Right.
So you can say what you want. They have a track record.
They do. Steve Spagnuolo absolutely does. He runs that Wade Phillips bend, don't break type of defense. That their main goal, their main objective is to generate turnovers and put Patrick Mahomes in a position in an advantage, which I'm not sure if he needs much of that. God, I can't wait for the season opener, you guys. I'm excited.
And you know what? In a lot of ways, we are up against it, so I'm gonna have to. We got about 7 minutes left. I got to get my son off the bus. That's kind of the way that this experiment ends in the morning. But I love the fact that we get the champs week 1, because a lot of people are going to look at this as a win-win situation. So as long as we don't get clowned out of this game, like 31-7 or something like that, they can go in and put a good foot forward in front of a national audience, win or lose. So that's the last question I want to send around to everybody. Now, are you willing to accept this? And I'm going to whine when I say it, because it's like this. Well, the Lions, they play really, really good against a really, really good team, and they deserve our respect. Or is it done? Are you done with that? Are you done? You're like, you need to win this game. Which one are you? And we'll start with you, John.
Ooh. That is a tough one. I mean, you're going up against the world champions. And not just the world champions, a team that has been there for many, many years. Oh God, I'm so on the fence, and I hate being on the fence about that one. But I'm gonna say it's good enough. If we lose and it's close, it's good enough. It shows. Just like last year with the Eagles, it showed potential.
So you will give them grace, Greg Rice.
Yeah.
You will give them Greg. Are you going to give them grace, or are you just like, look, I'm done. I'm done with you using this excuse of we played really, really hard. Where are you at on this?
Look, so I'll just preface it by this. Roger Goodell likes to start us out with just about the hardest opponent that you can put on the schedule for the last 3 years at least. The 3 years ago when Dan Campbell took over, we opened up our season against the NFC championship contending 49ers. Last year we opened up against the Super Bowl contending Eagles. This year we get the Super Bowl champions. And you know what? I wouldn't have it any other way, because each one of those games, we fell behind a little bit in both those games, but we came back and we showed heart. As long as we got a close game, as like I was alluding to earlier, Russell, Patrick Mahomes is a once-in-a-generation talent, probably the greatest player on the planet right now. He's the type of player that, look, you could play flawless football, generate a couple turnovers, and he'll still beat you. They got great coaching over there. I just want a close game to let people know, put people on notice like, hey, we're for real. We're not going anywhere. And there's a reason why we're the division favorites.
So you're going to give grace too. I love it. I love it. 2 graces right there. How about you, Smoking Jeremy B? Are you giving grace, or are you just kind of sick of this? You just got to beat this team.
I'm okay if it's close, but I want to beat the shit out of them.
So do I.
I don't want to see us lose by 3 points and just cover the spread.
Yeah.
I want to see us smack them in the mouth the way we were doing in 2019 with Petrash's weak-ass defense.
Yeah.
Right.
I like that, Jeremy.
The fact that defense didn't let Pat Mahomes throw a touchdown, as bad as they were, says how slow the Kansas City defense is starting out, because they barely beat us.
Yeah, agreed. Good point.
So I'm going to close with this. I would say this, that I'm going to talk tough, and I'm going to say I'm sick of it and I'm done with it. But if they don't get clowned out of the game, I am with you guys, because we as Lions fans have learned over the years that we do have to show grace, or else or we're going to put ourselves into a lot of trouble. And I hope that you do that too, because they did. If we play well, then we should give them an attaboy, because this team is on the rise. And if you don't believe that this team is on the rise, I really don't know what to say to you. I always have fun coming on here, and I'm going to go around the horn right here with Jeremy. Go ahead and plug your show, and we're going to go around and give everybody a last word, and I'm going to close them out.
Before I plug the show, I want to talk about last night. I got to talk to a former coach and a new coach that hasn't even coached it down in the NFL yet.
Wow.
The new running backs assistant coach, Torrey Harmon of the Kansas City Chiefs, was on the Inside the Pigskin with me on the South Florida Tribune channel. And then right after that, we got to talk to former Lions special teams coordinator, John Bonamego, who has been a journeyman and all around the league and got his Super Bowl ring with Matt Stafford in L.A. that year.
Nice.
So, it's really great to have the opportunity to talk of these, great things. And you're right. There's no moral victories on your record, Robert Weber. But you know what? There's no moral victories for a team that laid down and lost 3 times out of 4 to the Lions.
That's right.
All right. Any parting shots, West Coast Stat Master?
Yeah, man. You can follow me at Greg Rice 20. I'm also an admin for the largest NFC North group on Facebook, NFC North the Huddle. Come on over, you guys. A lot of trolling, a lot of good football talk, a lot of debates. Come on over. Lions, Vikings, Bears, hell, anybody from the NFL community. We got Cowboys fans in there. They're like roaches, though. They're everywhere. Can't get rid of them. But come on over, join one of the biggest groups on Facebook, and have fun.
Right on. And how about you, John?
You can find me right here on YouTube. Just look up the name, John Kapler. Talking all things Lions. I'm nowhere else. Always love talking ball. I'm not about plugging subscriptions and whatnot. I'm about plugging. Come have a conversation. Come listen to some ball talk. And as always, go Lions.
That's right. One pride.
Well, I'm all about plugging subscriptions. You can subscribe to the Main Event 365. You go to the YouTube channel, subscribe to that, because really that is how we do reach more people. We really do appreciate anybody that comes out. They listen. They do all that good stuff. We appreciate you. Main Event 365. I'm Russell Wayne. Peace out.
One pride.